Strains and sprains are soft tissue injuries that affect your muscles, nerves, tendons, ligaments, joints, and spinal disc. Strains and sprains are caused by stretching your muscles beyond their limits. Although not fatal, these types of injuries can be disabling and can prevent an individual from leading a normal lifestyle and, in some cases, living with constant pain.
Strains and sprains are the most common type of injury in our work environment. The most common strain we have occurs in the upper and lower back, but we also have strains reported in the knee, the elbow, the wrist, and shoulder. We need to take action to prevent additional injuries from occurring. Strains and sprains are painful and an unnecessary experience that we want to prevent from happening to you. In Q1 through Q3 of 2018, 50% of our oil division injuries were strains and sprains, and for the same time frame in 2019, 81% of our injuries are strains and sprains. Most of our claims are classified as human action, meaning we twisted, turned, bent, slipped, tripped, or overexerted our muscles or were fatigued.
People are our most valuable asset, and an injury to one of our employees has both direct and indirect cost. Direct cost is the money we use to pay the bills associated with a claim. Examples of indirect cost includes training replacement employees, accident investigation and implementation of corrective measures, lost productivity, repairs of damaged equipment and property, and costs associated with lower employee morale and absenteeism. If an employee is injured, they may not be able to perform their normal duties at home either. We don't have a way to measure how an employee may be impacted while he or she is off duty. It is highly likely that after a strain or sprain has been treated by a doctor, an employee will be placed on restricted duty. In Q1 through Q3 2018, we saw employees with 58 restricted duty days. And in 2019, Q1 through Q3, we have had over 100 days of light or restricted duty. That is such a high number of days that our employees were not able to perform their normal functions at home or at work.
Our bodies are like a well-oiled machine. Just like trucks and forklifts or other equipment you depend on every day, our bodies must be maintained and operated within their limitations. When comparing yourself to a machine condition would equal like your physical condition. Operational limitations would equal your physical ability, and your load capacity would equal your strength. Let's get into more detail on the different types of conditions. Steps to improve physical condition would be to drink more water and fewer sugary drinks. Because the body is primarily composed of water, staying hydrated is crucial to your physical health. Also, exercise regularly. You don't have to become a gym member to exercise. Eat more fruits and vegetables and less fast food. Also, get a good night's sleep. Try to limit or minimize stress, and remember to always wash your hands. Do you have a certain day of the work week that you feel less productive or less alert? Being aware that you're less alert is half the battle. Now you can take action to improve productivity on that day.
Are you physically able to push, pull, lift, bend, balance, or climb? There are times when our normal physical ability may be off. For example, if you have a cold, you could be weaker than normal. You know your body better than anyone else. Make sure to communicate with your supervisor if you are feeling weaker than normal. We may be able to accommodate you to lessen the risk of a strain or sprain. Your job may require that you are flexible in order to perform your job functions. Many of us completed a flexibility sit and reach test in gym class growing up. You may recall your teacher asking if you could touch your toes. The sit and reach test is a simple way to measure the flexibility of the back of your legs, hips, and lower back. Here's how you do it.
Okay, Bailey's going to do the YMCA stretch test. So we have our measuring tape at 15 inches and her feet are about 10 inches apart. So Bailey, what you're going to do is you're going to bring your arms in front of you and put them on top of each other and stretch, and you're going to exhale. You're going to touch your fingers to the measuring tape. Good job. And it's right at 16 inches. So get back up again, and we're going to do it one more time. So inhale and exhale really deep. Put your head down. Good job. And you're right at 17.5 inches. Good job, Bailey. All right.
The following measurements can generally be considered indicators of good flexibility based on age and sex. If your outcome is below the target number, the target can indicate a goal to work towards. Measurements above the targets can indicate better flexibility. You can improve your sit and reach results by performing exercises such as a seated straddle that targets your inner thighs, back, hips, calves, and hamstrings. The cat-cow targets your back and hips, or the kneeling hamstring stretch targets your hamstrings. Here is a few videos for you to see how to stretch.
This traditional stretch is called the seated straddle splits. This is going to be a great stretch that you can do for your inner thighs, your lower back, your hamstrings. So what you want to do is you want to come down to a seated position, separate your legs as far as you can. Now I always like to say take your junk out of the trunk and get right there on those sits bones. You might even want to manually spiral in those legs. And that helps to put you in that forward position. Now flex your feet towards you as hard as you can to get a full extension in your hamstrings. And then take your hands and walk out as far as you can. Now it's very important that while you're holding your stretch, you want to think about breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. And every time you exhale, see if you can go a little further into your stretch. And your focus is to lower the chest as close to the floor as possible. As you hold this stretch, your muscles and your tendons start to give way and you can go a little further. And that is your seated straddle splits. Make sure that you hold that stretch for at least 30 seconds.
So we're going to come into cat and cow pose. Beautiful to do in the beginning of your practice because it opens up the spine. It starts to move like fluidity through the spine, join the breath and the body together really nicely. So it's a nice one to do right in the beginning. To start, you're going to come onto all fours. Make sure that the shoulder is over the wrist. So a lot of us get in here, pitch it forward, or more commonly pitch it behind. So just make sure that the shoulders are over your wrists and that your knees are right underneath your hips. And we'll first just talk about the whole anatomy of the pose, and then we'll talk about different ways that you can use your feet to aid in this process. So first things first is cow, and you have to think of it like an Indian cow, like it needed to eat a meal. So it looks like this. The belly falls down, the shoulders roll back, and the gaze comes up towards the sky. That's on an in-breath. And as you exhale, you're going to reverse that. So you're going to carve the belly in, puff the rib cage up, and look in at your navel. Inhale. And exhale. So you can start to add the toes, curl the toes, even press back into the toes, gaze up. and then release the toes, press the tops of the feet down, and looking at your navel. If you want to intensify this, make this more of a core awakening posture, just tuck your toes under and hover your knees 2 inches above the floor and work the pose this way. So it's going to be smaller, it's going to be more subtle, but you'll have to engage a little bit in the core body to keep yourself here. So there are some variations. Cat and cow.
We are now going to be stretching the hamstrings. So if you want to step in with your right foot forward, bend your left knee, place your hands over your left hip, lift your torso up and push your bottom out. Hold the stretch until you feel a nice comfortable pull onto your hamstrings for about 30 seconds and then switch legs.
Load capacity or strength. We have had several strain injuries caused by our team members overexerting muscles, causing a strain. An example is a driver carrying a hose up a ladder at our customers' locations. The hose is fully charged or loaded with oil, causing the weight limits to be great. The employee may choose to carry the hose alone, causing a strain in his shoulder. This doesn't mean that the employee is not strong. It means that the hose exceeds his personal strength levels, as it would many of us. We ask that all employees, regardless of your position with Allied Oil, communicate areas where we need to provide additional tools to help lessen the risk of injury. In the example above, could we have asked for help moving the hose? Or provided a better loading system, such as a fill tube so the employee doesn't need to climb the ladder? Always know your body's limitations. Don't overload the machine.
Other causes to strains and sprains include walking and working surfaces. Are we keeping our work areas clean and clutter-free? Lubricants spilled on surfaces can cause you to slip and strain muscles. I often hear that customer locations are messy and that there is oil everywhere. My response is always the same. Thank you for reporting. Please fill out a near miss form and we'll get this addressed immediately. If we don't know about an issue, we can't fix it. We have gone to our vendors and asked for help with customers' locations. We've been 100% successful with getting locations cleaned up. I feel that it is safe to say that no owner of any company wants any of their employees hurt or others hurt on their site.
Another common strain is repetitive motion strains, commonly caused by using a computer mouse, typing, or grasping, or lifting heavy objects. If you are an office worker, remember to adjust your workstation to promote good posture and comfort. Avoid sitting cross-legged and remember to stand 20 to 30 minutes each hour or so. It is also good for you to wiggle your fingers and flex your wrists and do shoulder stretches at your desk. Strains and sprains are preventable. We simply need to identify risks and implement control measures. We need your help to do this and ask that you answer the following questions. Do you have the right tools to do your job safely? An example could be like a drum dolly. Are the tools we provide in good working condition, meaning does the drum dolly have a flat tire? Do you know how to use the tools we provided you? An example would be that we have recently ordered drum pickers for forklifts. Have you received training on how to use the drum picker safely? Are you cleaning up spills as they occur? Are you reporting unsafe working conditions on near miss forms? Are you using proper work practices such as proper lifting techniques? Are you getting proper rest and are you staying hydrated? Are you taking stretching breaks?
We want you to be healthy and to have an enjoyable, productive life. Please help us provide a safe working environment for you. Your branch safety representative will be passing out near-miss forms shortly. Take a few minutes to consider what could cause you or other employees to have a strain or sprain injury. Fill out the near-miss form. The name field is optional. And turn the form into your supervisor, or you can have it scanned to my email, kholtz@allied-oil.com. Remember, safety matters because you matter. Thank you.